tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to touch base and show you one of the command letters that we can send to the FCC. It's the federal government agency that controls all media in the United States. And so by us sending us this quantum letter written in quantum, we're basically giving the FCC a command to bring Chief forward. And we're also letting them know, we know that mandatory vaccines are not cool. We're letting them know that the chemtrails from the planes aren't safe, and that the 5G is dangerous stuff to all humans on this planet and animals. I wanted to also touch base on this, not necessarily to teach you quantum, but basically so you can see what are we signing here for the Public Closure Concerns command letter to stop 5G harmful global electronic wireless, chemical aircraft trails, mandatory vaccines. That is why we're writing the FCC to stop the spread of fake news. And that news could go on any medium. And that means cell phones, radio stations, internet. Internet is also governed underneath the FCC. TV stations, all TV stations on planet Earth are all governed by the FCC. So basically any media, electronic or physical, in writing, like newspapers, magazines, postings, posters, you name it, it's all covered underneath the FCC. That's why we're sending this letter to them to stop this madness. We're giving them a command to bring forward Chief and the quantum grammar solutions that he has, because he has the solution to stop the 5G, to stop the smart meter radiation, to stop the chemicals being sprayed in our skies that are affecting our crops, our oceans, our forests, to stop this madness of these fake vaccines. So basically what we're doing is the command letter is your way as a concerned citizen, a concerned live life claimant or not, to bring forth Chief who has the solutions. Okay? We want solutions. We don't want promises. We don't want a bunch of lawyers up in the White House getting us further in debt. That ain't going to fix anything, because they pretty much broke America. And the rest of you guys out here, can you see that by them shutting down everything, now that we're in a vulnerable position where we're indebted to them, and it shouldn't be that way. We should not be in debt to the entity that we hire to mow our lawn. They shouldn't be in charge of us. We should be in charge of our own world, not them. We're saying, hey, we want our now space to be void of these things that harm us and harms our fellow mankind.
In our conversations with the commander, that is one of his focuses, is get that message out. We need to reach out to the 3 places now that we have to, so that we can let them know we know, and we are commanding them. This is not a petition to beg. This is a petition command to tell them that we, the people, are telling them to do their duty.
In order for our voice to be heard in this country, or pretty much anywhere, you're going to have to do it in writing, and you have to do it through the mail. And that's why we're doing this. You know, they're threatening of these things, and they're actually not just threatening, they are actually doing some of these things right now. They're threatening of mandatory vaccines. They're still spraying chemtrails in the sky, and they're still doing 5G. That's still turned on, and the smart meters are still on as well on a lot of people's houses, all countries, just about. I'm just going to read it off to you so you can get a grip with what we're sharing with these people, what needs to be stopped, like right now. So here's our venue. We're annotating which venue we're in. We're in the Philadelphia Post Office, the Benjamin Franklin Post Office venue that Chief has captured. So we're letting them know that the quantum grammar is the venue through Chief.
It's the grammar flag. It's not quite what it looks like.
Correct.
It's grammar flag.
This is a 1:1.9 ratio flag. That means the height here times 1.9 is the length. for the Public Closure Concerns command letter to stop 5G harmful global electronic wireless, chemical aircraft trails, mandatory vaccines. For the world's people, citizens, earthlings on the Terra Earth, live life claimants, now space closure concerns, are with the questions of the void duty performances with the United States of America's publication, public affairs liaisons, public media broadcasters, foreign Washington District of Columbia, government's peoples, elected officials with their bring forward publication, evidence duty of the post-general of our world corporation, Russell-J, Goulds, CSSCPSGP, quantum grammar performances, banking, agriculture, pharmaceutical, publication, public media, trade markets, scientific, wealth, health, safety, and land possession, travel, infrastructure methods and solutions with this command letter dry dock vessel by the world's people, citizens, earthlings on this Terra Earth, live life claimants, public closure concerns command. Because by you autographing this here, you're saying you're in agreement with this writing here. And so that's why we're going over this, is so that you're aware what is it saying, and we're here to translate, because it's in quantum and not everybody's up to speed on their quantum yet. That's okay. You'll get there.
You will. And we did try to write it in a way that it was very easy to understand.
Yes. And then this one is a question to them in quantum. We're checking their volition here. So we started off with R4, the United States of America's publication, public affairs liaisons, public media broadcasters, foreign Washington District of Columbia government people's elected officials of the bring forward volition duty with the Now Space Public Closures publication of the Russell-J, Goulds Global Postal Employment Service Treaty, Postal Corporation, RR 294-568-221 US -solutions. And I'm going to pause here on this sentence because I need to. That number is the mother number of all his filings from the very beginning. So that number is correct being there. And it's okay that that RR 385 is not there. That's okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll continue this sentence here. With the stop of the electronic transmission technologies, 5G, smart meters, and or ongoing harmful wireless communications technologies. Stop chemical aircraft trails, spraying, stop mandatory vaccines by the United States of America's publication, public affairs liaisons, public media broadcasters, foreign Washington District of Columbia government people's elected officials, performance volition duty. Because the question is to these people, because they control all media, that's radio, television broadcast, internet, everything that you can think of that is either printed or movies or commercials or fake newscast, that's all covered underneath the FCC. So that's why we got to ask these guys the question, why are you spreading this information, and why are you blocking Chief's information from coming forward? Because they're part of the issue here as well. So we're having to notify them. And then number 2 here is for the world's people, citizens, live life claimants, earthlings on this Terra Earth, or with the Now Space command of the publication, public affairs, public media broadcasters, governments, people's elected officials, with their duty of the bring forward publication evidence, public closure publication of the Postmaster General of our World Corporation, Russell-J, Goulds, CSS, CPSGP, quantum grammar performances by the Public Closure Concerns Command letter. And then, of course, we got notes here. These are just simple, like terms. I'm giving my term here for 5G. It equals 5th generation of the wireless communications technology, so they understand what 5G is. It's not room 5G, it's 5G of wireless communications, so that they're on the same page with us when they read this. Postmaster, banker, sovereign, majesty, Vatican City, keymaster, scribe, foreign secretary, treasurer of the CSS, CPS, GP, state, muster master, Navy, foreign, postal, United States of America, comptroller of the global currency, and postmaster general of our Royal Corporation, Russell-J, Gould. And then we got the date, we do our autographs, and of course, we've got the sentence covering, if you're not a live life claimant, covers your autograph. Please try and make that as legible as possible. Try and make it almost like print so that that they can see.
The 3 paragraphs have a function. Paragraph 0 is, we have a concern. We've noticed this is not happening. The second paragraph is asking the question, are you going to do your duty? Because the first paragraph says, we've noticed you haven't done your duty. Paragraph number 1 says, are you going to do your duty? Number 2 is, we are now commanding you to do your duty.
And of course, you're going to fill this out. And then after you fill it out on the front, you got your stamp. You can either put the stamp up there if there's only a couple of you or just one of you. You can put your stamp down here or up there. It doesn't matter. Either one is good to go. And then on the back, you're going to flip it over. And you can draw yourself some lines to autograph on and then date it so that you know the date of your autograph here on the back. And then you're going to seal it with your thumbprint or your index finger, whichever one you so choose. And you don't have to put tons of ink on there. It's just a seal. As you can tell, we do them pretty light, so they're covered. And then that's basically it for that. And the rest is just filling out the forms and the envelope. And this is the Canada form that Muriel did when her and her son sent theirs off.
So, and I just wanted to give you also another view of another form that was filled out so that you can see that there was just the 2 of us. It was my son and I, and he put his name over here, but that's quite all right. And here's the date in the correct format. And oh my goodness, I forgot the period. Boy, I'm not perfect. Dang. And then up at the top here again, you'll see that we both put our name, our fingerprint on our postage. So yeah, very much the same as what Joey did.
And we have the evidence of the 2007 mailing that Chief did with them. And that particular mailing, the actual picture, is the mailing they mailed back to him after negotiating things with him and his contract. So you'll notice they wrote the address and fiction and everything, but just so you can see for your own visual, they're even calling him Chief. They're even addressing him as Chief in the fiction. But I'd just like to point that out. It's them. They're sending the letter to him. They sent it from the base, and at the time that was their phone number too as well. So if you call them now, the number has changed. This is SOCOM. This is their old phone number 13 years ago. And when I called, before I even got it out of my mouth, the guy had kind of let the cat out of the bag. He said, well, that was 13 years ago. Oh, it was like if they already knew I was calling. It was hilarious. But anyways, they shipped it via FedEx, and that's the tracking number. So when you call them, you're going to say, this is in reference to tracking number 9039-0430-2748. And the contact number that's inside of this mailing that they're fully aware of the number is in a quantum grammar treaty that Chief has, the copy of which he was showing on Romola's YouTube video just last week. He showed that, and now YouTube's blurring it out. Well, this is it. This is what he was showing. And he has the contract in hand. He's got another copy outside of the envelope. The envelope's still sealed, so he still has a line of credit. So the contract number is RR385460-312 US, period. That is the contract number that you can give them that number or give them this number down here. Either way, they'll know that you aren't BSing them when you call them. As you can see, this is from them to Chief when he was at that mail location. And it was back on October 31st, 2007. And this is the contract that Chief talks about that he gave us citizens here on this planet, Live Life Claim citizens, war-powers-rights. And basically, that's why we want to call him forward so he can activate that for us, because the commander of the martial law needs to step forward and activate that for us. He's already delivered the contract with them back then, letting them know the terms and conditions of his performance. And so that's why we're doing what we're doing, that it's letting them know legally that, hey, you got to bring forth the commander-in-chief of the martial law. You contracted with him to be the commander-in-chief of the martial law. These military bases are in contract with him. He did 10,000 mailings, folks. He mailed them all. He let them know, hey, George Bush Jr. doesn't have any authority to go over and start war. He let them know. He was the one mailing the mailings, letting them know that that guy was breaking the law, that he wasn't a president. They did not continue the continuation of evidence. They had no authority to do what they were doing.
He was committed enough. He did this over 4 years. Every 45 days, he held court. That's dedication. That's something nobody else on the planet is willing to do, and he did it.
They have $26 million slush fund every year to block Chief from the public view. So if we weren't there, we didn't see what he did. But we're about to find out. They're fully aware who he is, and he has done what he said he has done, and he holds all those titles legally, and they know it. And we're about to find out when he does this next public performance. You're going to get to see Chief is who he says he is. He has been to the Washington, D.C. He's been there. He's done the performances. He's been to the UN. He went to the UPU. He's been to the Vatican. And you're going to get to see that they know who he is. And he is who he says he is. There's not going to be any hiding it anymore. And pretty much the evidence that we've got here, one of the mailings, that right there is proof that they know who he is. Even though they don't address him as in the quantum version, it's still proof these people are lying. They're acting like they don't know who he is when they're fully aware who he is. He met with these people at the UN. They all signed his contracts. He was the only one to stop and correct. It's a done deal, folks. The language is it. Quantum grammar. If you were to write the same thing in fiction, each word could be construed to mean 900 different things, because no one has given closure on where their dictionary is coming from. And they lost the ability to do that back in '99 when Chief captured the flag, which sets the venue of the terms of the contract, which is the language of the contract. He locked it into quantum, now space. He is basically, he doesn't operate like we think he should operate, because he's in a different world, basically, when it comes to standards of communication. A lot of these things involve mail, and he's the master of the mail. He is the Postmaster General of the United States Postal. Now, he is it. He's it. And they know it. So the thing is he's not being stood down. It's one of these things. You think about it. They've been doing this illegal bank fraud stuff for thousands of years, and they think it's just business as usual, and it's just another guy that they think they can kill or knock off, and business as usual, right? Well, this time they met their match. He's got a solution to that one too. If they do not ask him to come forward, he's going to be coming forth on his own volition, because he's not going to sit by and watch the people get harmed. It's not going to happen. Chief has already rewritten everything that you can imagine about banking, government, 401k, all of that is taken care of.
Once all the limitations are removed, which is going to be huge, all the solutions will naturally roll out. People who have been blocked from bringing their solutions to the people will be able to do that. And Earth Care and People Care, it's all there. It's all there. Just the course that I took gave me just the smallest glimpse into what is being held back. So we have a lot of really positive things to look forward to.
He's already done the work for us, so we don't have to rewrite these contracts. He's had 23 years experience at creating the grammar, creating the contracts. They're proved hardcore because he was the one going forth and running these back and forth between the people as he created the contracts for what they were, whatever their purpose was for. So he has 23 years experience doing this on the highest level, at the bankers level, okay, with the governments, the banks and the governments. You can't get any higher than that. It's very important right now that we stay focused on bringing Chief forward. And how do we do that? Which is with the command letters to 3 places, to the FCC, number 1, to number 2, the United States Post Office in DC. Number 3, the Pentagon, who's in charge of defense. Those are the 3 places Chief said that the command letter needs to go to.
And somebody asked if we can send our command letter to the same people, the equivalent people in our own country. And the answer is yes. But at this time, if you would focus first on the 3 places that Russell has asked us to send us, the main point right now is to blast the FCC that is headquartered in Washington, D.C., because it's where Russell does a lot of his performances. It is where Russell is very, very well known. It is where Russell said to send it. Now, once you've done that, if you want to go ahead and send this to your local representative in the government, your local broadcasters, what you're going to do is you're going to take a photocopy of the document that you sent. So I would hope that you took a scanned copy and saved it into your computer, because otherwise you don't have any evidence of what was in that envelope. And you get that scanned copy, you print it up, and you write on the bottom of it, in a black marker, full colon, evidence, period. And then you attach, if you have a live life, put your live life on the back of it, you glue it together, and then you post it to your local people. Basically what you're doing is you're giving them evidence that this is already in play, and that it is already gone to the FCC, and that it has Russell's data on there. If they have any questions, it tells them how to find out more. Yes, you can. First off, focus on getting it out there to the FCC. Let's focus on those 3, the Pentagon, the USPS, and the FCC. Let's flood them with this command for them to do their performance. The best way to get a mailing to stay at the place you're sending it to, because we've had stuff come back, is put somebody as a specific person that it's being addressed to.
Do what you can do. Call and bug the FCC. Call and bug peacefully. Call and bug the MacDill Air Force Base, the SOCOM.
Okay, so you're going to call Kenneth McGraw, and the phone number is 813-826-8800. And remember, when you're making this phone call, if you get to speak to anybody, ask for this person in particular, and if you can't get through, then read, it's number 1, right, from the command letter. They read the question.
Correct.
Okay, so the point is we want to ask them if they're going to perform their duty. We're checking their volition. And so that's why we're going to ask them that question.
and also mail the letter to the FCC. The two after that is going to be the Department of Defense.
Dr. Mark T. Esper as the Secretary of Defense.
And then the third one is going to be the United States Post Office headquarters.
CFO at the USPS.
You don't have to alter, do not modify these letters. You just simply autograph them, date them, put stamp on it, autograph that, seal that with your seal, your fingerprint, right? The service called registered mail. And that average cost here in America is about around $18.25, I believe.
From Canada to the United States, there is no registered mail anymore. It's express post.
And then you're going to put that in an envelope. And then the only thing different between the three is the mail location. I quantumized it. If you have a question on how do I quantumize my mail location, feel free to email us. We will help you with that. We want to help you. Okay. If you don't know how to write your mail location in quantum, please email us. We will help you with that. On the envelopes, when you send this out, do not include USA on your mail location. You want to do just the state that you're in, all uppercase. Notice when I filled out my mail location, I use shout. Because I am writing a command letter to the FCC, so I write in all uppercase, except when it comes to my autograph. That's the only time you will not see lowercase. So I'll do the first letter of my name. Obviously, that's the standard, and the middle name gets an uppercase letter. With the last name gets an uppercase letter. That is normal. That's what has been taught in quantum since the beginning of quantum. We don't have any choice with the fiction that their name is in fiction. So you're going to write their name in fiction on the letter going to them, okay? So we write their name in fiction because it's a dead entity.
Yeah, so that just means that you don't hyphenate their name and put a full colon at the front?
You don't have the authorization to make them a fact. So don't turn them into a fact. Then you're making it where you've taken it away from their jurisdiction, because that dead entity doesn't exist as a fact. They are a dead entity in the fiction. Keep them in the fiction. The only part where we legally have to bind them is their mail location, which we do convert over to quantum. And so what I wanted to share with you is how to fill out the form correctly and how to send it correctly, because there's a few hurdles that you're going to have to go through to get this to where it needs to go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you this letter is not for modification. This letter here is done by two very skilled people with chiefs. Basically, we involved him in this to make sure that what we wrote was correct. Muriel and myself are the authors of this document that we're sending forth, giving the government agency a command.
We had Russell's okay on it. We ran it by him, and he's got his own participation in this document. Like he said in the interview earlier this week, he didn't authorize that, but he supports it. And he did make a contribution on it.
It is a special public closure concerns command letter stopping 5G, electronic wireless chemical aircraft trails, and mandatory vaccines.
Okay, now I didn't authorize that. However, I consent that needs to stop. Somebody else authored that contract. I was just a witness to it, and I concur with it. The chemtrails need to stop. You have to comprehend this is a military operation being run. They look at the people as utilities. It's just how it is. With the claim of the life and the functions that the quantum banking system gives to the people, that pulls them out of that paradigm. At that point, then I will have to go to strategic locations to safeguard the citizens within the construct of the quantum banking system.
And so the people that have actually signed this document and actually brought it forward, what are they doing when they sign this? And what is your authorization to do anything? Are they pulling you forward when they sign that?
When they autograph it, they can send it into the locations that they want me to go talk to. So if we're dealing with the communications system, which is chemtrailing, right? They're communicating to us, hey, we're gonna dump a bunch of crap on you, and you're gonna now function this way because we're seeding your body to do this, right? Mm-hmm. As they seed your bodies to do this, you know that you're in the middle of a communications issue, concern again. So that's where that stuff can be directed towards the Federal-Communications-Commission, right? Because they're the ones that are allowing the communication and the airway of manipulations. And that also is part of what comes into our chemical story here. Each one of us has one through our blood types and our pathogens that we have within our constructs of our blood and the things that make us unique. Part of the conditions that are concerning is as you infiltrate that through the chemtrails and the misting and the fogging that they're placing upon not only our food, but our animals, and they're creating this disorientation. As you manipulate that through the 5G and the different microwave technologies that are out there, at that point, you can then set up a direction and actually march the people unknowingly into a condition of the state. So these are the concerns that I have with that. And these are the concerns. That's why I would come forward for the people on those points.
And so do you see that could be handled swiftly, quickly? Could the 5G really be taken down?
Well, yeah, I have war bonds in place, right? I just put the commands into the military and we start taking out our towers.
All right.
So here we got at the top right, since if there's just one person gonna send the form in, that's fine. What you're gonna wanna do is put a $1 stamp at the top right here. It has to be a whole dollar amount. If the post office says they ain't got any $1, get a $2 stamp or a $3 stamp and you'll be good to go. It has to be a whole dollar amount. So $1, $2, or $3, or even $4.
And in England, it would be £1.
Correct. And then basically we autographed this, my mom, my dad, myself. We autographed it in quantum grammar. And then we put our seal, which is our fingerprints. That's either your left or right index finger or your left or right thumb. All of those fingers are qualified for your notary seal, okay? It's your seal to seal your autograph. You are your own notary. You don't have to go pay somebody for your autograph. You're saying who you are and you seal it. And then the other part of the form here, down here, is making sure you put the day that it's mailed matches the day that you're sending it off. And it has to be, the date has to be in this format. This is a tilde, and that means the location day 23 in the location month of April and the location of the year 2020, making this all a fact, because this is saying for the date of the 23rd April 2020, period. It's a compound fact. And then you basically, you autograph your name, and if you don't have a claim of life, it's okay to autograph your name the way you normally do, but try your best to make it legible, because Chief has added, he gave us a sentence to add in here to cover those who don't have a claim of the life. And that's this sentence right here. It talks about the curved lines and the straight lines. So if you don't have a claim of life, you can still send this letter. It's okay. You can participate. However, we do prefer that everybody eventually jump on board, support Chief and what he has done. It is the number one way you can support him and the cause, is to get a claim of life.
first and most critical benefit of the claim of the life is moving your volition and your vessel out of the birth certificate system where your values are harvested. You have zero rights of self-determination. Your children are wards of the state. The ownership of your home and properties are at the permission of the bank, county, and state. All of your money is owned by the bank, and they can tax it at every level of transaction between you and their corporations. As a live life claimant, you're now in the position of making a claim. It is a step-by-step process. You start with those systems that are closest to you, such as your mailing location, your driver's license, ID cards, passports, and bank accounts. Where you are when you have a live life claim, it puts you in a position so you can make claims. And you start with those things that are closest to you so that you start creating your own world around you. And this is a very peaceful thing. It's done through the mail, which is what, Russell's taught us all along. And part of these steps is that you need to learn to master the skill of syntaxing a fiction, adverb, verb, grammar. We have tutors, and if you're interested in a tutor, send an email to quantumcommunity@protonmail.com.
And so since my mom and dad both have claims of lives, they can autograph in their quantum name. If you don't have enough room, say you get 6 autographs on here, say 6 of you in a group decide to pitch in to help share the cost of mailing the letter to the FCC, you won't have room for 2 stamps up here. So what you can do is you don't have to put the stamp up here. If there's 6 of you autographing, put 1 stamp here and 1 stamp here, and then when you autograph, all your autographs will run up on. So I would have placed the stamp right here, and all 3 of us would have ran the end of our name up on the stamp. And that's how you would do that for 6 people, basically. And then we're going to look at the back of the command letter, and then here's how you're going to need to, just like you autograph a check and turn it in, it's the same thing with a quantum command letter. You're authorizing that this go forth with your approval, your authorization. So on the back, you're going to autograph it and date it. Unless you can also the option of when you take it into the post office, have them put a bullet stamp back here, which has the date on it. For all bullet stamps in the postal offices have the date on it. So you could do that. You have that option as well. Either way works. So if you prefer to just make it easier on yourself, where you don't have to try and talk because some post offices just won't do it. They just, we have found a way around it, but it'll cost you. What we found is the ones that don't want to cooperate, they require a $1 stamp back here in order to get them to use their bullet stamp. So that's basically how that goes. And then you're done, and then you're ready to fold up the letter and put it in the envelope. And so here's the envelope. And the main thing is when you fill out this form, it's basically the address part here. Legally, you don't have to have your name from who is mailing it. Legally, your address is your legal mail location. So, legally, by the postal laws, all that's required is the address, the mail location. So that's why you don't see my name here, okay? And I'm not hiding who I am, because look, I captured this registered mail label. They know who I am, and I put my seal on it, so my name is on here. I could have put my name, but it's just to kind of like help teach everybody what the proper postal method is when you're mailing stuff the quantum way.
We're going to go over it for the States, and we're going to go over it for Canada as well, and that'll kind of give you 2 views on how it works.
Here's a copy of filling out the envelope. If you noticed, you're going to have to, here in America, you're going to have to basically go to the post office. They keep these registered mail labels behind the counter because normally you have to pay for them. So when you do go back in there, make sure you tell them, I got to pay for this, so that you're not committing mail fraud. You can go ahead and autograph it and seal it, capturing it. Don't try and cover up the barcode, because they need to be able to use the barcode and the number. So leave that visible. Don't cover it up with your autograph, okay?
The purpose of the autograph on the label is, as Russell says, labels are stamps. Stamps need to be canceled. This is not postage, but it is a stamp. So we need to take command and control of that stamp.
The other stamp that they're going to put on here, don't autograph that. Let that go through the mail, okay? They're going to put it usually over here to the right. They'll put it there, or they'll put it down here. They usually put it up here to the top right. And it's okay if you don't put your name on it. You just put your mail location and quantum. From here down past the name, I've converted their mail location in a quantum manner. So this is the way you want to write it, exactly as seen here. Don't try and write it your way you think it should go. This will work. This is basically authorized by Chief. He said we're good to go. He's overlooked our work, because anytime you do anything out here, do it as a group so that you got more than 2 eyes on it at a time, just to check each other's work. I'm human. I can miss something. You want others to look over the work. Plus, this is a group thing. This isn't an individual army of one thing going forward. This is a way of peacefully getting correction that should come about, because this is a time of martial law where they're stating they're at war with the people, and we need to stop and correct them to give them a positive way of performing. Yes, I drew these lines on here on the envelope so I could write it in here all nice and neat for everybody to see. Your autograph has to be in blue. Cannot be in black. And you can use blue or red ink for your seal on your thumb or index finger, sealing your autograph. But the thing is I do blue because the red, I didn't want the post office to say, you used blood. That's a, biohazard. I didn't want to block in my mail. I didn't want to give them any reason to think that I'm trying to harm them in any way. So I just did a peaceful, safe color blue and went with that. And this is the form here in the States, because I know we got a lot of people from different countries. You got to figure out this registered mail label here in the States is different in Canada, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, England. It's different. So you got to find out what they call registered mail. This just happens to be the label that they used for registered mail.
And as long as you could, what you want to do is try and find it that has the 9 numbers and then the 4 letters.
Correct.
In this format, this.
Thank you, Muriel.
Yeah, this is the system that gets into the burn.
Okay, this form in the States is the insurance form, the PS form 3806. It has 2 copies, a carbon copy, which is underneath the top copy that I folded up here. Key is when you're filling out your registered mail receipt, the 3806, the one with the $1, you must be very specific with the postal employees when you go in to mail this, that they do not skip this, because if they do skip it, it's kind of like you didn't really get this done correctly. So you got to be very vigilant in making sure they do their job of their positive performance of what you're paying them to do. So after I pay the clerk, the first thing I do is I watch and make sure they put a bullet stamp over my autograph, because it says right here, date stamp goes here. So they can't say no. What they'll do is, I'm like 99% of the time, they won't stamp it. I have to always encourage them or properly remind them of their positive performance that I'm paying them for. So I say, can you please put the bullet stamp right here where it says date stamp? And they go, oh, okay, sure. They bullet stamp the top one, but then they don't bullet stamp the bottom one, which is their copy. The copy 2 goes to the post office. Make sure that they bullet stamp the second copy too. So you're going to watch them and make sure they complete this step. It is so important that you make them, because what you're doing is producing evidence that they did their job, so later you can hold them accountable if any question comes up whatsoever about these bills of the ladings that in the fiction are called receipts.
The declared value of the dollar is simply to get the mailing within the global postal mailing system.
This is the secret. Must declare $1. Just remember this. This is for insurance. So it's just like the stamp. It has to be in a $1 increments. So whatever dollar amount that you want to choose, which with most mailings that we do that don't include like physical gold or silver in the mailing, if it's just a paper document like this, it's always going to be $1. $1. That's it. That's all you need. And that doesn't raise any red flags on their end, and it goes through properly, and you've got that joinder that you need. You need this joinder. This is what surety with the Universal Postal Union that Chief captured in Bern, Switzerland. So in order to make it what we call legal, this is it. This is the biggest part of the whole thing, is this form right here, the PS Form 3806 here in America. And the other problem that I run into is the hardest part of this whole thing is this form. They don't give us enough room to stick their gigantic entity name. If you notice on the envelope, 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lines, folks. And then they come back and they want you to squeeze it into 4. Oh my God, they're creating a problem here. And I still couldn't fit it in. I had to squeeze those 3 lines into 2. It doesn't matter. You don't have to land your letters in the box. The box means it's not on the page. If you go and look up the GPO Styles Manual, Chapter 8, 8.20, says brackets means, which is 4 corners, means it's opinion. Means it's, if it's opinion, it's not a fact. It's in a box. It means it's the author's opinion. Opinions aren't facts. You'll get more into that as your learning grows, and you'll comprehend what I'm sharing with you there. So this is the hardest part, folks. You're going to have to find, if you're older and your eyesight is not what it used to be, get your grandson or your daughter to write with a tiny little, I use a 0.3 millimeter pen to fit this writing in here. And I literally wear these Coke bottle glasses just for this one thing here. I don't normally have to wear Coke bottle glasses, but just so I can see, because the letters are so small. Trust me, these boxes are tiny. I've got this blown up to, it's more than that percentage of the real size. This is huge compared to the authentic size that it is. And then as you see here, I wrote in their quantum address. I only put a hyphen there because I couldn't fit all the governmental on one thing over here, so I did put a hyphen there. That's regular fiction hyphenation, so I didn't do anything wrong there. Here, and on the top copy, they're going to give you the top copy. That's going to be your copy, and make sure you declare. You let them know. Tell them, I want $1 insurance. It's fine if you use the negative no contract word. I mean, come on, we're talking to people who don't have claims of lives. It's okay. And then, of course, on this form here, this green card here is tied in a way to the red label, the Scantron label over here. This guy. This label, that number right there, you're paying for that registered number, and that number goes here. Don't tear off that bottom label on the registered label. The bottom one, keep that one for your records. Don't put it here. You don't want it to put the label here. Repeat, do not put the little label here with the number on it. Write it in quantum. Put a colon, it means for the That number, period, making it a fact. And I wrote it in blue so I could tell that I wrote it. It's not in black, so it can be conceived as a fact because it's just like a signature, or I'm sorry, an autograph. It looks authentic, original, because it's not in black, it's in blue, it's living. Again, as you can tell, the form is hard to fit in their stuff. That's okay. We don't have to fit in their boxes. As long as we write the name of the entity, the corporation's name is in there, and I wrote the address or the mail location in Quantum, which I did. It's okay to get outside the lines. Just don't go past this line over here, because if you do, what happens is when the FCC gets this letter, they're going to tear it off and they're going to mail this part to you, and that is going to stay on the back of their letter, which is going to go in the trash. So you don't want to write past that little dash there. That's where that perforated edge gets thrown in the trash, so don't write over there. It's okay to write out in here because this part's coming back to you.
So Ewan asked the question, can we put the mail location on our printer on a sticker and put it on your envelope? Yes, but you do need to put an autograph across the corner of the sticker because it's also the same thing as a stamp.
Yes, it's considered a label, and all labels are forms of a stamp that can be captured. I wouldn't give that, I wouldn't personally do that. I would print it, take the envelope, because most envelopes will fit in your printer. You can load them underneath envelope settings and then print this all out so you don't have to write it in. You can even tell your printer what ink color to print it in, blue, so that you could tell that, which one is the original copy and not a copy. That's the main thing. Mm-hmm. The only reason I put all this USA copy stuff here is so that they can't accuse me of copyrights, that I'm copying their stuff. I'm not. I used this in my mailing. I mailed it to the FCC. It's gone. Although I haven't gotten this card back yet from them, but I have my copy of this, their stamp on it. So
we have a question. Blue is also the maritime jurisdiction. Is that correct? Because that, as a question, I don't actually know the answer. That's
only written in fiction. That's only written in fiction.
Yeah.
Chief rewrote that to include some other colors other than blue, like purple, pink. There's some other colors that we're unaware of, but just to keep it simple, blue is safe. It's like the ocean. Yeah. It's safe.
Well, and again, put your autograph in blue ink. I also know from my studies how the mind works. Blue ink on a white page, it actually helps your mind remember the data better. So it is a very powerful position.
What I wanted to show here in the on the insurance form is that, see how I autograph my name? It's very important that you do not mess this up. Right here, what I did is when I autographed this, there's no space between the colon and my first name. That means that colon means for the, because it's tied up against the first letter of my first name. This colon here is tied up against the last letter of my middle name, John. And then I have a space, a clear space. There is a space there. I could fit a whole other letter in there. It's not, this colon isn't over here in front of the L. It is right up against, it needs to be just like this. When you autograph your name, this is the correct manner. This is the quantum way. Make sure you're doing this. If you're putting your last name butt up against here, you're saying for the. That's not a fact. That's not the standard. That has not been taught over the last 20 years. Whatever you do, don't put two colons in here. Then you're making an of the, making the last name not a fact. Careful of those things. You don't have to put red copy on yours. I put this on here so that the post office can't claim that I'm copying their stuff. I'm not. I copied my own copies of my own evidence. Viewing the date, Remember the date? It's a big key here, folks. Make sure the date that you put on here matches the date you're gonna mail it, so that you know when you run your timeline on the FCC, when you mail this into them, that your timeline's gonna match your contract, that you don't have to worry about a date. You can't hold them to this date. The only date you can hold them to is the date you mailed it. 3 days there, 3 days back. That is the timeline standards out here. 3 days. So when they get it, they got 3 days to send it back, and they've got 21 days total write back, and anything they write back, you could just syntax and send it back as garbage, because if they were to write us all back a letter, I would post it and I would syntax it so everyone could see how to syntax to help keep us all organized in the same manner and replying to these guys if they were to try and do that. Most of the time, they're not going to respond. They're going to acquiesce. They're going to be in agreement with our command letter here.
I want to let you know that this is the form. First off, it's express post. In Canada, the only way that we can send a registered letter or a registered package to the states, and because we are sending it to the Federal Communications Commission in the state, we have to use this method here, and it's called express post. You can go into your local post office and you can ask them for one of these envelopes. It'll cost you about $28 or so. And then you can take that home, and then in the comfort of your house, you can fill out this form. The reason there's no postal date stamp on my form is because I took a picture before the post office. But I'm going to tell you to do the same thing Joey said, have them get them to put their date stamp on it. So the same thing applies that Joey was talking about with all the mailing and stuff, but I want to point out a few things. I do have my first initial, my name. That is the correct way. I probably could have left a little bit more space between the B in my name and the colon, but it's not entirely wrong. And I just want to point something out that I've learned over the years. I don't worry too much about what their little word says here. I basically ignore the boxes and I ignore the lines, because I'm an adult and I can do as I choose. So when you're filling it in, remember there's a lot to fill in this spot for the Federal Communications Commission. There's a lot of words to squeeze in, and so it was a little challenging, but I was trying to be very careful to make it as legible as possible. And I tried to follow the format that's in the command letter. And I think it's also in the instructions for boxing out the things that are boxed out with the square brackets. So yes, when you first off, you're going to buy this envelope, you're going to go home and fill it out. You're going to put your command letter in there. And remember, before you mail the document, to take a scanned copy of it front and back. That way, when you are going to move forward and send copies to the Department of Defense and the U.S. Postal Service, you have your copy with you. If you've already mailed yours and you don't have a scanned photocopy of it, just create a new original, but do take a photo scan copy of this and keep it in your files. This is a lesson to learn for all of our mailings. We always, always, always keep a scanned photocopy of it. It is evidence that we can print and label as evidence for attaching to other documents going forward. So just something to pay attention to is when you've got your document created, make sure you take a photo scan copy. So you've done this, you're at home, now you go to the postal station and you do all the same methods that Joey said. When you tear off this part of the label, because it's a two-part label, have them put their date stamp on. Now, some people prefer to have the date stamp on the back of this form, and it doesn't matter. If you're going to have it posted on the back, then make sure when you put your autograph across the stamp, your autograph and seal, you put this registered mail number, this one right here, this EG 049, whatever that number is, write it under your autograph so that you can bring jointer from the back of the page from the front of the page to the back of the page. Otherwise, when you do the dates, they're going to do their date stamp, their round stamp, and you're going to put your autograph and your fingerprint seal across it. And you don't have to do that in the postal station. That might make them nervous, and we're really not trying to ruin their day. So you can do that when you get home, but make sure you get that postage, that date stamp. And the dollar insurance, also make sure that you do the dollar insurance. Again, that gets you into the postal system that Russell controls, and it covers you the insurance on your packaging. I think that's all I've got here. The letter is available. You can email us at quantumcommunity@protonmail.com. You can go to warcastles.com and you will find it there. You click on the link for documents.
If you go to forthequantum.com, again, that's forthequantum.com. Go there, sign up, put your email in there, and whenever we get out a new video, we'll send it out for Chief's latest performance so that you get that first, because we're helping spread the word for Chief. For some reason, the governments don't call him forward for whatever reason. We're going to try and put that pressure on. That's what we're doing here. It's teaching you how to mail the letters, okay? And if you can't afford the mailings, that's fine. We've got free options to do too. So basically, we can do the, you can call the MacDill, Florida Public Affairs number. You can call them and say, hey, and you can reference the evidence that we've got on warcastles.com. All else fails, all of us do our due diligence, calling, emailing them, being nice. Don't be belligerent, please. Be professional. Talk to them like a human being, because they are human beings. They're just doing their job. We're not trying to target these people to sue them out of existence. We want them to bring Chief forward, bring the solutions forward. We're not here to tear them apart. We're here to make them perform in the manner they're supposed to perform.
Yeah.
So by this command letter, when we send this, we have the quantum grammar power of making this government agency perform, because it's written in positive contract. Remember I said that the quantum grammar is written in a way, it's in the now space, which Chief captured, and it's written in a manner that gives them the opportunity to perform in a positive way. In order for our voice to be heard in this country, or pretty much anywhere, you're going to have to do it in writing, and you have to do it through the mail. And that's why we're doing this, is so we're letting them know that basically, hey, we know the mail works. It's the most powerful tool on the planet, and we're doing it in quantum grammar. So we're giving them a command.
Yes.
By all these minds coming together, we can help raise the frequency of this planet for the correction that needs to come. We need to bring forward Chief. We need to support his breakthrough on the quantum grammar. I mean, my God, it's just, this is the way.
Well, and true change, if you read your history, true change that really does bring positive change never comes from the top down. It always comes from the people. And Russell is the people. Russell's bringing solutions for the people. He did not come from royal birth. He is not from any one of those elite families. He was not groomed. He created this as just simply a man who saw something was wrong, and he tried to make it correct. So we are the ones with the power. We just have to believe. We have to change our energy and focus on positive performance of these people that make these claims that they have authority. And we can do that. Thank you so much, everybody.